Hello, and welcome back to another video on abstract absolute alchemy, or another moment. In today's video, we're going to talk about my timeline of events of how I got to the point where I recorded Cycles of Nine. So basically background of just that. And I'm going to try not to make it too long, but it's probably going to be a lengthy video because I feel like my whole life is synchronized. And so it's not one point of event that led me to making that video. It was kind of each of my life events led me up to that point. And I'm sure the Cycles of Nine is leading me up to something more too. And excuse the noise and stuff. I'm in my tent and it's pretty windy outside. So first and foremost, I just want to say that I've always been an observant child. I've always been real connected with the earth. I've always had a deep appreciation for the earth, and I've always known that everything was alive. When I was a kid, I would be afraid to say I got something, like somebody gave me a toy as a kid or something. I would be hesitant to throw it away, say I don't need it no more, I grew out of it, I'm not using it no more. Because I would feel like it would feel some type of way. Or it would feel like, how can I say this? It would feel sad that I'm throwing it away. Like, that's how my kid brain was thinking. But in hindsight, I had a knowledge that this thing has consciousness. I knew everything had consciousness to it. It didn't matter if it was an inanimate or inanimate. I can't find the word I'm looking for. I knew it would, yeah. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't really get it out for the sake of this point right now. Let's move on. Inanimate. There we go. I knew it was an inanimate object. Even though it was an inanimate object, I knew, to some degree, it had some consciousness to it, just as much as the aliveness of nature and stuff. And then also, my family kept us outside. I wasn't really a tablet baby. We watched TV and stuff, but we watched it as a family. But during the day, in the summer times, I would be in the country. I grew up in the city, but they would send us to the country for the summer, and we would play outside, and we would use our imaginations. And I always had a really vast, and still do, a really vast imagination. So all possibilities are attainable to me. So bear with me because this is not in chronological order. I don't think I can even write it in chronological order because everything is so intertwined. But going back to the earliest stages, what I just said. And by the end of the video, I'm gonna make it full circle, of course. But if I start to ramble, walk with me. So yeah, like I was saying, I was very observant. Unfortunately, I had my share of trauma growing up, childhood trauma. So my role in the house was a mediator. So I was always observant of how everybody else is doing, making sure everybody else is okay, or coaching other individuals how to work with other individuals in the house. And I was just very I'm trying to think of a synonym to observant. I don't want to keep saying the same word, but just observant. Hold on. As far as my parents and stuff, because that's what I mainly grew up with. If I peep you're not having a good day, my parents were kind of explosive. So if I peep you are not having a good day, I would set aside some needs. Maybe I need to get met. It took me a while to learn how to meet my own needs, but my needs would not get met for that day. I kind of would suppress a lot, so I wouldn't cause no further frustration for the other person. And obviously, I was a kid, so this wasn't a foolproof method. Obviously, my emotions came up, and the suppressed emotions came up, and I was, being that way. But I don't blame myself for the things I did as a kid. Shit, I was in survival. Or say I'm peeping you having a good day, and the energy is cool. Then I'll be more. Words come to me. The opposite of reluctant is the word I'm looking for. I'll be more of that to like, I'll be more less hesitant to come up to you and like get my needs met in my child vocabulary, in my child ways. So yeah, I can read energy very well. I can read the energy of the house. I was able to read the room. And it just goes to show, like, I had an understanding, but with no labels on it, of what energy is, how energy works. So let me read through here, see what I wrote. I read a lot of books, but I didn't start off reading like perspective changing books. I started off like with urban fiction. I have a lot of books that I read, like, and this was more in my like later teenage, young adult years. I'll get to that in a second. But at a young age, I checked myself into therapy. I started going to therapy in 8th grade. Just because I knew something was off in the house. Like, something was off with how everyone in my family is responding to my emotions. Unfortunately, I was a black sheep in my family. My emotions were too big for the others in my family to handle. I don't want to say they couldn't come to my capacity, but I think I overpassed their capacity for emotions just because of how they were responding to me in emotional distress. I was too much for them. And like, also with my parents, I had an understanding of how like their parents affected them and how they are affecting me. I was having conversations with my mom just about how our family dynamics are and how it's affecting us today as a child. And I just had an understanding of all the interconnectedness. All right, enough about childhood. But yeah, I changed myself into therapy, and then I started to develop like new ways of thinking, different like perceptions, and like, I ain't gonna lie, I felt like I was more aware than my therapist at the time. I didn't really get a therapist that like really saw me until like 12th grade, 11th, 12th grade. Cause my therapist, like, I was just hella aware, and like they didn't necessarily know how to navigate me, because I'm like, I know what the problem is. I know why I'm feeling this way. I know if I eliminate the problem, I wouldn't feel this way, but I can't. It's nothing I can do in this situation. I'm the child. My parents are the parents. I can't make them think another way. I can't make them act another way. And so, like, me explaining to my therapist, like, they were just kind of like, a lot of the people I talked to, they were just like, wow, you're really self-aware. Like, you really know how to, like, pronunciate your words, and not pronunciate, but, like, articulate yourself. And so, like, I felt like I lost cause. I ain't gonna lie. I felt like I lost cause. And then, like, I left my home state in, like, high school. I moved across the country. So I was learning other people's cultures. I had to grow up really fast to start taking care of myself, like, mentally, emotionally, more than what I already was. Really start taking care of myself mentally, emotionally. And I want to say between, and financially. I had a relative send me money here and there, but I had to learn how to be smart with my money. I had to learn how to be smart with my resources and what I had, and really work with what I had and become resourceful at a very, very young age. And like, I'm still young now, but just thinking back, like, no teenager should be having to like think that hard in order to survive. You should be enjoying high school, doing sports and stuff, like, whatever. So yeah, I became very resourceful, and so like that in itself like opened up new pathways for me. Like I already said, I know how to read energy. Became resourceful with my energy later down the line, but like I was learning how to become resourceful with my energy. Everything's a process. But around that time, like 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, freshman of college, extremely dark time. Extremely dark. So those are ages between 15 and 19. Extremely dark time. Like, I was a couple times. Around that time, I checked myself into the mental hospital because I just was like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I couldn't understand why things were happening to me the way they were. Like, I had an understanding of energy, but I was just like, everything was out of my control, kind of, damn near. I moved around a lot. Like a lot. I want to say in a 6-year time span, I think I moved 8 times. Very unstable. Survival mode. Like, you become very resourceful when you're constantly in survival mode. And so before the mental hospital, like I said, I can't, the timeline is not going to be in all the way chronological order. I'm going to be bouncing back between events. I'll give years to like help me stay on track. But like 2020, mental hospital was 2021. 2020, I was in like a deep isolation. Like I did not come out of my room. Summer 20, I was about to go off to college. But this was like the summer before August, before you go to college. As cliche as it sounds, TikTok really like cracked open my brain. It gave a name to everything I had already been feeling. I was on the spiritual side of TikTok. Ooh, look, a birdie. I was on the spiritual side of TikTok. And I wrote here, it showed me the power of intentions, chakras, manifesting, the laws of the universe, undoing trauma, programming, human natures, the powers that be, controlling the masses via mind control. And then that led me to the occult rabbit hole. That was later. So, and yoga and like stretching and where your body keeps trauma. Like I was learning about all of that. Mind you, dark ass time. I was 18 at this time. I think 18 was like peak like learning for me, because this was all new. So I'm like, oh, okay, like I have trauma in my hips, I know that. I have trauma in my heart. I was doing like heart yoga, hip yoga. I was really getting in tune with my chakras. I was really learning how to meditate. Like that was the deepest. 18, I had the deepest meditation of my life. Like I was really learning how I went places. I'm gonna say that. I feel like I saw past lives of myself. It was this one time where I was meditating, and it was a past life meditation, and I got to see like a past version of who I was before I was me. And the lady killed herself. And like it was a pure power for me to see, because in this lifetime, you know, I wanted to do the same, but something is stopping me, or was stopping me all the times I like tried. And like from that meditation, I knew that I had to overcome that. Ah, fuck. Oh my God, that's hot. These damn incense. I knew I had to, that actually did burn. Sorry about that. I knew I had to overcome that, so I won't like repeat this karmic cycle. I was learning about karma. I was learning about karmic cycles. I was just really tapping into like study of the universe, study of spirituality. Like, man, like my brain just opened up. So like that was like the kickstart to my spiritual journey. Like even though I was already a spiritual being from birth, now I had a way to navigate this physical realm in that way. Whether just it being in my head, I knew what I was thinking had a name to it, and I got that name to it. So shout out to TikTok. Shout out to 2020 TikTok, because like it was peak. And I mean, like these videos didn't even have that many likes on it. I was watching videos that like had maybe like 300 likes on it, and so it wasn't like mainstream stuff. It was like stuff that real people are talking about, and like they study and stuff, and it was making sense. I like intuitively, I knew that this shit made sense. And then also from that, it helped me trust my intuition better. It just helped me tap in with my pineal gland. I learned about that. With my third eye, opened that. But I will say, after that, like I had that peak opening, I went off to college, and I feel like I fell back into like the programming that be, because like it was just extremely dark time between 19 and 20. I mean, 19, that's your 1 year, so it's like it's straight chaos. It can go any way. So like it just got really dark. But like I felt like at 18, it set me on that path to like my spiritual enlightenment, and I don't regret nothing. 19 is when I checked myself in the mental hospital. It was just so much going on. It was so much stimulus just around me, inside of me, just everywhere. And I couldn't make sense of it. But from that mental hospital, it was this book I had wanted to read called The Pale Horse. I had seen it when I was doing my TikTok studies or my internet research. This guy in the mental hospital, he looked like that dude off of Law and Order, I ain't gonna lie. I never forget him. I don't know his name, but I won't forget his face. He put me onto this book called David Icke, The Perception Deception. And I'll put it up here. I didn't finish the book because that book is 900 pages. But man, that mother freaking book, like, David Icke, He was talking about archons. He was talking about shit that would probably get somebody taken off the map. Like, if it's a regular person. Talking about the CIA, talking about, and he's in the UK, so he's talking about his, like, version of CIA. But he spoke on, like, American, too. He just spoke on, like, mind control and the mind masses. So, like, that was in line with what I was watching on TikTok. And I was just like, oh, my God. And then from that book, I ain't gonna lie, it led me to occult studies. I just went deeper and deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole. You know how the algorithm works. Once you start interested in one thing, and it can read your brainwaves. So once you already thinking about something, it's gonna recommend videos to, like, push along what you already thinking, so you can just keep going. It's going. I think the algorithm is neutral. It's on whatever you want. So if you on, like, bullshit, your algorithm gonna keep feeding you bullshit. You're gonna stay in the bullshit cycle. If you want shit to, like, that you're genuinely interested in, so say, like, you like bicycles, your algorithm gonna keep showing you bicycles whether you talk about it or not. You thinking it can read your brainwave. I saw a skit one time where it was like a dystopian future, and it was at work, and the computer that you were working on was reading your brainwave. So if you're focused on something else, like say you're scrolling on, if you're not focused on your work, it's gonna alert your boss that you're not, like, mentally focused on work. Dystopian as fuck. Anyway, so yeah, that led me into the occult knowledge. Let me see what else I wrote so I can keep, like, in a chronological order as best I can. So this was like 2021 still. A lot of shit happened in 2021. All this time I'm learning that energy is real, can't be destroyed, can't be created, just transformed. And, like, that message stuck. I think that's, like, the main theme of all this is, like, energy is real. And I think with the cycles of 9, it just really, I really emphasize that energy is at play just via numbers. I'm streamlining it through the principles of numbers, because I can't think of no other language to describe, like, what's happening here. All right. Another thing I wrote here is, like, I was always rebellious in nature to social structures. I'm sorry, I did not give a fuck about school. From once they took out nap time, I didn't abide by that. In kindergarten we took naps. I continued to keep taking my naps all the way to 12th grade. You are not going to take away my nap time. But my grades never suffered. I was honor roll. I was an honor roll kid because, like, they keep teaching you shit in a cycle. I don't know about it for everybody else, but OUSD, this Oakland school district, shit. But shout out to Envision, my school I went to, because they kept it real. They kept it raw, they kept it real. I remember my history teacher, he would teach the curriculum, and then he'd be like, okay, but this is what I think. This is what actually happened. And we learned about different things. We learned about Robespierre. Not a lot of people know about Robespierre in the French Revolution. I remember we had to do a court case from him to prove that he was guilty. And then in my class, I don't know about the other classes, but in my class, in my period, I was the only one that could prove that he was guilty. So, like, school wasn't an issue. It was just boring because they keep talking about the same thing. So I was rebellious in nature because I did what I wanted to do. I didn't follow rules that didn't make sense. I didn't follow authorities that didn't make sense. And if you're trying to force your authority on me, I just respected you less. And, like, it was hard for me as as a kid to respect authority figures because 9 out of 10 times they didn't know what they were talking about either. Like, a lot of adults in my life were just big ass kids and sometimes bullies. And what makes you think that you know more than me just because you're older? Like, you're older, but you're still acting dumb. So, yeah, it was hard for me to respect authority figures growing up. And, you know, I got the consequences for it, whatever. But, yeah. So that in itself translated to my adult life. I don't go with the normal way of thinking. I don't go with the normal way of doing shit. I don't follow, like, hella social norms. I don't follow most of them. Like, some of them, obviously, like, I'm still deprogramming myself. I'm only 23. But I just don't go along with what the masses go along with. And I don't think the same. So, just rebellious, I do what I want to do. You know, my grandmother, this is off topic, but on topic. My grandmother was part of the Black Party Panther movement back when. So, like, this whole streamline of just, like, being authentic and, like, standing up for yourself and know thyself and know your history, it runs in my family. So yeah. Another thing I wrote here is I caught on to pattern recognition. Like I was saying, like it started with my parents, but that was like my whole way of life. Like later I found it was OCD, but whatever. I use it to my advantage. I am OCD down. I am OCD down. Pattern recognition is just something that comes very natural to me. And like, ooh, the wind talking. Pattern recognition alongside knowing that everything has conscious, it helped me notice that shit is a cycle. Even with my own menstrual cycle, that shit is a cycle. Every month, like it's like this, the moon cycle, the sun cycle, like everything in itself is a cycle. So like I picked up on that very fast. Humans have their own cycle. Like I was able to like with my parents, okay, when my mom is acting like this, that means it's a possibility is she in a good mood. But when she's showing signs of this, it's not a good time to come up to her and like need something from her. Yeah. In other ways, like I was really good at math. Math is also another pattern recognition, especially algebra, breaking numbers down, or like if you have like if you have x plus 6 minus y minus 2 equals x plus da 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 da. All that shit is just breaking it down, putting it back together again. It's deconstructing, constructing. And so like math was very simple to me, especially geometry and trigonometry with the triangles. Yes. And so like I just put pattern recognition into everything I was doing. Like it's really a way of life for me. So that's another way. And this is all going back to the cycles of 9. We're gonna full circle this back. That pattern recognition. And it really came into fruition for me when I undid my trauma. And we're gonna move on to that next. Undoing my trauma. I'm honestly, I gathered, because I was a generally happy kid, but like I said, understanding humans, understanding my parents, not understanding why they can't treat me in the way I think I should be treated, or like nurture me. I want to say from like age 13 all the way up until 20, I gathered a lot of trauma. I started undoing the trauma at like 19 or 18, 19, but like I was still getting trauma placed onto me at the same time as me undoing. So like, and I'm not done yet, but I had to undo a lot. So like after I undid enough to where I can think for myself and I'm not thinking like fear-based, and I'm back to my adventurous side. And I'm just back to like who Lamaya is and my essence and my being, back to being present, back to being centered, all that. That's when my pattern recognition really came out. That's when like all my abilities that I had as a kid, reading the energy, pattern recognition, gratitude, gentleness, nurturing, my nurturing spirit, thinking with my intuition, connecting my brain to my gut, connecting my heart to my brain, connecting, living through my heart. That all came out after I was undoing a lot of trauma. And like some of those books that really helped me during that time, where is it? The Body Keeps Score. Even though I didn't finish these books all the way through because it was a really hard read for me at the time. You gotta remember I was like 18, 19. So like I'm still a teenager mentally. But I was able to pick up on like what the book is about, if that makes sense. Plus I had TikTok too, like, because this is where I kind of got the book recommendations from, like, was TikTok. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was able to pick up what the theme of the book, and apply that to my life. So The Body Keeps Score, emotionally absent mother, adult children of absent parent, the highly sensitive person. Now, I didn't start that book. I think I read like a few pages, but I was able to understand like what a highly sensitive person is. Like at some point I'm gonna go back and like really read that book, but at that time like it was so much going on up here and in here, like I couldn't sit down, and like every chapter I was crying. I was just like, you know what, we're gonna come back to this at a later point in our lives. But like a highly sensitive person, that is me. I'm like, so I had to understand that, oh, when it burnt me and went out, where's my lighter? I had to understand what the highly sensitive person is. So me being highly sensitive to energy, highly sensitive to people, highly sensitive to like emotions, highly sensitive to like other people's emotions, just highly sensitive to the stimulus around me. Yes. And so blah 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 blah. Let's come up now. Oh yeah, understanding like my different mental issues and my brain works. Those 6 days I spent in the mental hospital, best 6 days of my life. After I left there, I went on a journey to understanding how my brain works and not letting my like diagnosis and stuff deter my life for the worse and like hinder me and handicap me. Instead, I'm like, okay. And you know, I had a support system at that time to like reinforce that my brain just works different, but there's nothing wrong with me. I have a different this gun about to choke me. I have a different perception than how the majority of people around me, especially my age, operate on. Another one I'm reading here, isolation. I had a lot of isolation. I was alone a lot. And I still kind of am. Like, I feel like now, I was alone. I wasn't alone at the same time. I was alone because, like, I didn't have that connection to my parents. Like, I saw other people have that connection to their parents. I used to say a lot, like, the universe and Mother Nature are my parents. Life is my parents. I am my parents. Life is navigating me. And, like, I had to navigate myself through a lot of situations. But I wasn't alone at the same time because I had people physically around me. But, like, as far as, like, thinking and, like, mentally getting myself through this simulation, I had to rely on myself for, like, the downloads and shit. And that leads me to my next point. Downloads. I had crazy like, I'm a very intuitive person. I receive a lot of downloads, especially when I remain calm and open. A lot of downloads. So a lot of stuff that I know, a lot of stuff that I find out, I just be knowing. I can't really explain like how I know. It's like a lot of with the occult videos and stuff. And then when that whole year where I just cracked open my brain with watching hella different videos, I just had something say like, go search this up. And then I found information on it. It wasn't, or something would prompt me to have a thought to go search something else up. And like, I just go down that rabbit hole and then now I have new knowledge. And a lot of different experiences prompt me to like think about something, to go search about it, to have new knowledge about this. And so like just crazy downloads. But with the occult stuff, this is what I wrote. TED talks about secret societies, laws of nature, mind control, trauma-based control, humanity being controlled at large, royal bloodlines, secret realities being reflected in media, or secret doings being reflected in media working with high intelligence personnel to push underlying agendas, mind control through trauma, food poisoning, ancient knowledge, sex equals life force. I was learning about all of that at like 21. And like paired with what we've come with now and in occult knowledge, I just had a deeper understanding of like human nature, one, but like the lower sides of human nature, the higher sides of human nature, how we've come to a society today. It just like, we're just being controlled. So I had to not only undo my trauma, but undo my programming too, because I had been programmed too. Side note, I stopped watching TV at like 13. My mom cut off cable, we just stopped watching TV. That helped me undo my programming a lot quicker because I wasn't like fazed by like the news or like something like that. Plus, again, I'm rebellious in nature. And I just be knowing this shit is dumb. And this shit's not real. Like, they trying to push an agenda. They trying to push an agenda in school, and they trying to push an agenda with the television. So, like, that whole shit was just making sense. And how just really with the mind control of the masses. So, I had to undo all that. To tap in with my inner being and my higher self, and my higher knowledge. Like, I really had to undo a lot of shit that was placed on me, especially with music. in middle school, I was listening to a lot of trap music, and that changed my perception of how I see myself. A lot of the music I grew up listening to, bitches, hoes, murder, shoot, you're gonna die, like, you're not worth nothing unless you giving it up. You're not worth nothing unless you got money. You're not worth nothing unless, like, you hoeing, blah, 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 blah. Look at the shit I can do to a young girl or young man or young boy. So just changing up my music, and then, like, just changing up how I view myself. Okay. And then I started watching anime. So take all this occult knowledge, take all this undoing, take all this information we have brought so far, and then streamline it into anime. Anime, I don't care. Anime is the, how do they say this? The vessel for universal truths. I was watching stuff like Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga by itself. Everybody should go watch Vinland Saga. Attack on Titan. Everybody needs to go watch it. I don't care if you think it's boring. Watch it for the storyline. Sit down and watch that damn show. It gets better with time. Full Metal Alchemist, hands down, a great ass anime. And by this time I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist, this is more like later, like 2022. I was already tapped in with, like, alchemy. I was already tapped in with, like, manifesting and, like, harnessing your sexual power, your spiritual power to manifest what you want into the real world, and using your life force to navigate you through the world and harnessing that. So alchemy is a very damn real thing. Like, no, we can't and something will come out of our hands, but energy is very much real. And then Demon Slayer, I threw Demon Slayer up in there just because it teaches you about patience, really. It teaches you about consistency and keep going. Like, all these shows have, like, a real deep ass underlying message to it. And I'm sure, and I'm glad that I didn't get into anime. I didn't watch anime as a kid. One, because I never made fun of it, but I was like, I don't even know where to watch it at. Like I said, I was not watching TV. I was watching SpongeBob growing up. So, like, all I knew was Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. I didn't know how to watch it. And then, like, I had somebody put me onto anime. My first anime was Attack on Titan, so I'm already deep in occult knowledge watching Attack on Titan. I'm already picking out, like, the hidden messages that a kid would not pick up. So I'm glad I'm watching it as an adult, because I'm, like, tying everything I know into anime, and I'm, like, taking away what it's saying. And, like, Vinland Saga changed my damn life. Full Metal Alchemist changed my life. Attack on Titan changed my life. Alright. I said here, like, I reiterate, I've always been into nature, had a deep appreciation for it since I was young. The universe and earth were my parents. Strong pattern recognition, observant. Shrooms. If I didn't have anything and I just took shrooms, I think I still would have got to the same point. Shrooms really introduced or reintroduced, it emphasized the interconnectedness of everything. Like, I was taking shrooms at home. I was taking shrooms in nature. I grew my own. Like, it showed me the connectedness of myself. Like, I already knew, but it just deepened it. I'm saying it so passionately because shrooms changed my life and changed the chemistry of my brain and changed, like, my DNA, period. It healed my DNA. I swear to God. I'm forever grateful for shrooms. Like, shrooms is the intelligence of the earth. Shrooms is the brain of the earth. So imagine what it's doing to my brain. Like, I'm real tapped in with this. But I won't lie. I think I took shrooms, I don't want to say too much, because I have no regrets. I took shrooms so much that now I'm not on a permanent shroom trip, but I'm just so, like, you know how for anybody who's taking shrooms and you just real connected with the energy at play, connected with, I'm that connected sober. I'm not, like, I'm peeping the energy at play. Even though I cannot see it, I can just sense it with my other senses, but I can see it through situations, patterns, and phenomena. I need to get to the books. Like, we're gonna get to the books in a second, because these have another, I feel like these all came after the shrooms, so I'm still in chronological order. And then I got in, I can make its own video about shrooms. shrooms just made me so flabbergasted just because of like your brain just opens up to infinite knowledge, and you're just like, everything is connected. Everything is everything. And that's the only thing I can say to sum up shrooms without going on a tangent about it. Everything is everything. Seriously. I mean that literally. So from a young age, I got into astrology. If you care to know, my big three is Pisces, Scorpio, Pisces. So you already know, like, if you tapped in with astrology, numerology, you already know. Oh, and my life path number is 11. I was destined to set on this path. I was destined to get to where I am today. That's why I'm going on this video, showing that everything was connected. There's no singular event that brought me to where I am today, because I'm all water, baby. And plus, with my life path number being 11, I was destined to anoint others. And plus, like, I was born on the fourth day. All about structure, all about setting it up, all about like setting it up so I can toss it up, and so it can be great. All about structure. And then if you want to get into Velvet, because I got into that too, and I'm still trying to learn the ins and out of that. My thing is Aquarius, Scorpio, Aquarius. So I'm automatically a thinker and a feeler. I was automatically gonna be in tune, period. But with numerology and astrology, excuse me, I learned the mundane and the occult. I feel like and this is words of this YouTuber called Fernando. I forgot his last name. But I already have a occult background. Oh, and plus, for the astrology girlies. Well, for my Western chart, I have Aquarius. I have 3 placements in Aquarius. They're all in my 12th house. That deals with subconscious and Aquarius. So I was destined to conjoin my my conscious and my subconscious. And undoing my trauma and my shadow work and stuff, I deep dive into my subconscious. Like, I threw myself into it. It wasn't, I'm not scared. And that's why I wasn't scared to take shrooms either. I was ready to open up the floodgates to my subconscious, and I connected my left and right brain. So I'm just intertwined with it all. Mundane is like, you know, the normal shit. Like, sun sign, moon sign, blah, blah, blah. But the occult, from my understanding of things, is how, like, the different signs, all the signs is just an archetype of an energy. So all the signs and how it plays out into, like, the nature, and then how that energy plays out in humans. And so, like, that's really interesting to study, because, you know, Pisces, immutable air. So it can be the clouds, it can be rain, it can be the dew on the grass, it can be the ocean, it can be anything. It's mutable. And so, like, that was really interesting. I already talked about math, but math in itself, and that's how it led me to the numbers. Math in itself is very interesting. Math always came very easy to me. Math helped me hone in my pattern recognition. Math is everything, and math is everywhere. Sacred geometry, I would love to learn that. Math is a language of the universe, alongside patterns, situations, and phenomena. But everything is possibility. Everything is situational. Oh wait, no, that didn't come out right. Everything is possibilities, and everything is like based on like if these certain events happen. It's statistics. Shout out to 12th grade statistics and probability. Study of consciousness, download from Mother Universe and Mother Nature. We already talked about that. Study of ecosystems. I feel like another way I'm able to read energy is because this is all the ecosystem. Shout out to Full Metal Alchemist. That will also show you ecosystems. Everything has a part to play because we are in an ecosystem. This whole world is its own ecosystem. The earth is alive. So, like, everything down to the ants, down to, like, the ancient monsters we don't know about. Everything has its own role to play in this ecosystem. Everything is dependent on everything. Okay. Everything is dependent on each other. The food we eat comes from the earth. The clothes we wear comes from the earth. Everything we know to be comes from the earth. It's not coming from outside sources. At least we know. But everything that we typically see, like everything I have on me today, including myself, came from this earth. So, ecosystems. study of different laws. We're gonna come back to that because that's gonna lead me into the books. Study of numbers and principles that they hold, and I'm gonna get into the principles in a second because I wrote down the principles. I'm not gonna read them all verbatim, but really go check out the principles of the numbers. They make sense. Healing my emotional state and connecting my left and right brain. The power connecting my left and right brain, like I was just saying. I connected my conscious and subconscious through the power of meditation first, but that just led me to different avenues. I opened up hella different pathways for myself, and I explored most of them, or some of them, because it's infinite. So you never know how many pathways there really are. I really burnt myself. Anyway, moving on. I really understood what it means in this other book called, what was that called? The Secret Feeling or something like that, by this author named Neville. Oh shit, and I also YouTube. I'm gonna link some YouTube videos too. I'm gonna pop up the different YouTube videos. I should have wrote them down, huh? It's okay. It's okay. The Secret Feeling, I think it's called. He was saying that the subconscious is what makes up everything here, but your conscious is what takes in what you're awake. But the moment you go to sleep, or the moment you're drifting off to sleep, that little door between your conscious and subconscious, it opens. So whatever your conscious is feeding your subconscious, that's how your next day is going to play out. So he was suggesting, or he not really suggesting, he was like, you need to do this, to be quite honest. Feed your subconscious your dreams and like what you do want, because if you go to bed irritated and be like, this day fucking sucked, like da 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 da, you're feeding that to your subconscious whether you know it or not. Your next day is going to play that out. So if you go to sleep feeding your subconscious like what you're grateful for, and you're calling back your energy, and like, this is what I do. I call back my energy, I say what I'm grateful for, and I map out how I want my next day to look. And like, just peace. I really emphasize peace. My next day usually plays that. Now some days when I fall off my routine, I can tell. But just really talking to your subconscious. Your subconscious is feminine, your conscious is masculine. Your conscious is the one that's doing, your subconscious is the one that's creating. So just think about it like that. Everything has a feminine and masculine energy to it. Power vibrations. From a young age, during that dark time, my early stages of when I was going into a dark time, I found comfort in like music to put me to sleep, but I didn't know that was vibrations. Vibrations. What can I say about vibrations? Our body is a certain amount of percent of water. Vibrations of any sort, like hit a tuning fork, a singing bowl, it changed the patterns of water. What do you think vibrations is doing to our body? So as I started to use it to go to sleep, I started to find out that there's a vibration for everything. So I started vibration for depression, vibration for anxiety, vibration for this, vibration for that, frequency for this. I started to like study frequencies and what they are. And then like I started to find the different earths. I don't know, the HD earths, I don't know. So 528 and 369 and like things like that. And you see how this is tying into my thing? The math is the language of the universe. So those different frequencies and seeing how it makes me feel after I listen to it, whether it's a placebo or not, I don't care. The goal was accomplished. And like all my things I was dealing with mentally, is there a frequency for this? Is there a frequency for anxiety, for overwhelming? And like I just got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to the different frequencies, just from playing calming music to help me go to sleep. I see what's doing for my brain. Frequencies for the pineal gland, lucid dreaming frequencies. Okay, you see where I'm going with that. And then lastly, connect this into my last point, study of different philosophical structures. We're getting into all the books now. The first book I want to start off with is, I already started off with the other 4 books, the power, David Icke, Perception, Deception. I'll put it up here. Again, thick ass book too. those therapy books, those self-help books helped me a lot. My therapist gave me this book in 12th grade. I didn't read it until I was 22. This is a book that you just have to be called to. Like all these books, I was called to read them. This is a really good book. This is the Four Agreements. It's a phenomenal book. This book was this book set me on my path to not take things personal. The Four Agreements: be impeccable with your word, honor yourself. Don't take anything personally. Don't really. Like, it's hard. It is, but don't make assumptions. And always do your best. This is a great book. And then this book, the Angel Number book, you know, I'm always seeing repeated numbers. And this was just a good reference point to, like, I think I thrifted this, or it was like, it found me. It was a good reference point to, like, understand what the difference number may mean. Like, I can always ask Google, but, like, this was a whole book going all the way from 0 to 999. And, like, when I open this and, like, I go through numbers 1 through 9, it does line up with other sources I found, like, the different principles of the numbers. So it all just made sense. And then I know there's more books, but I don't have them with me. A lot of my books are in storage, so it's like, I want to say that there were some other books that helped me, but they're just not coming to my mind. But once I get my stuff out of storage, whenever that is, blah blah blah, I can go ahead and, you know, give them the credit that they're owed. So here I wrote down the different principles of each number when I was, like, first on my set out journey to understanding the principles of each number, like, go deeper within my studies. And this is like a general description of them, but once I started making out cycles of 9, or what it is today, I gave my own, or once I started observing the different principles, like adding up the dates. Oh, I didn't touch on numerology. Well, it's kind of self-explanatory. Numerology is numerology. Like, yeah. Go search up your own, like, path, like your life path number and all that. You'll find great information. As this one lady says it, she says it's your spiritual army, like your astrology and your numerology chart. But I started to observe the principles for myself, and I wrote down what it means to me. And so when I would add dates, how I said in the last video, how I added them up, words. How when I added up the dates and I'll get the single digit number for the date, I would write down what it means to me, like over a couple weeks. Okay, 1, I'm starting to see that 1 has this theme, 2 has this theme, 3 has this theme. Like, each 3 day I observed, this is the same theme I'm seeing in, like, each of the repeating 3 days. And then I started to get into, so after I read the numbers, and, like, shout out to YouTube for recommending this author to me, I started to watch his videos, and I seen that he had a book. So I'm like, you know what, where's the harm of reading? I like what he's saying, so where's the harm of, like, me checking out his books? So I need to get the third one because it's a 3-book series. But this is what really set me on to, like, this one really solidified it. And, like, between this and another video that I'm gonna post up here, I always talk about it, levels. He talked about the different levels of consciousness, or, like, just perception, different levels of perception, and, like, he really goes through and explains it all. This is, like, talking about it's so much he talks about, but if I can condense it down, the 9 levels of consciousness, how each of those stages play out, and, like, how some are tangible and not tangible, and how nature operates in cycles, and nature is its own algorithm. The computer gets its reference points from nature. And, like, again, with my occult knowledge, this was all making sense. He's not saying nothing I haven't heard already, but he's just giving it, he's streamlining it in a new way that's giving me a different perspective of of the knowledge I already know. He talks about, like, how to operate within this algorithm, this cycle, and, like, how to navigate what's in here in your own cycle to project out that your own stuff into the algorithm to play. So basically, how to how to read how to read your own algorithm. So therefore, when your subconscious is producing out its play, when your subconscious is producing out the information it has, you can read that algorithm. You can read that and then not only relate it back to you, but you can read the situations that come to you. You can read the energy. You can just read. I need a word. I wish I knew a different language so I can like type more words. You can read the energy at play in your everyday life, and you can see how it's talking to you through situations, patterns, and phenomenon, and what it's saying and how it does relate back to you, because everything is an outer projection of your subconscious and you. So that's really the basis of this book. Obviously, that was a really like, it's so much more information in these books. Like this is a whole video within itself. All right, that is what kind of pushed me to be like, okay, let me talk about this system. Let me talk about like the principles of the numbers, and let me streamline it through my own perception and how I created this system. And then through more, because I'm never going to stop watching like occult videos, because I do find genuine interest in them. It's knowledge at the end of the day, and it's interesting knowledge. So as through watching them, I got more book recommendations. The Power of Now, we already talked about that in previous videos. Amazing book. Amazing book. And this book, I feel like it does pair all this is interconnected. It really is. And all these books, were called to me. They found me. Because it shows you the power of presence. It shows you the power of being focused and being present within this very moment. Not past moments, not future. This moment right here, so you can see the energy at play, so you can be focused enough to even read it. It all interconnected. In this last book I have, Hidden Power, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to. It says how to unleash the power of your subconscious mind. It just goes into like this, and I'm sure when it's my time to read, I will read the book, because right now my focus is I'm rewatching Attack on Titan, and that's where my focus is. So like once I'm done with that, I'm probably going to like, unfortunately for me, I have to do one thing at a time because I give it 100% of my focus and I give it 100% of my energy. So it's hard for me to break off different do different things because I'm not gonna give it 100% of my time. Like I tried to pick up a book, but my mind is on Attack on Titan, and like the book I was reading, like it's not no like perspective changing book. It's just like it's just a story. But fun fact, this is cool. I'm reading the book I was reading. It's called The Secret Garden. I found that book before I started watching Hunter x Hunter. I forgot all about that. Hunter x Hunter was another one of those animes that helped me change my perception too, and how to stay determined to your goal all the way to the end, and don't let nothing deter you, and live your life through your purpose. Hunter x Hunter, shout out to Hunter x Hunter. But anyway, watching I got The Secret Garden from like a real estate house sale. Didn't know. I was like, oh, looks interesting. I'm gonna pick it up. When I was watching the anime, one of the characters was reading that book that I had in my library currently, and I was like, wow, that is crazy. And I just showed you synchronicities are no stranger to me. Everything is interconnected. So I picked up that book and I started reading it because I already had it in my library. Now, like, it's so crazy that one of the characters in the show is reading the book I currently have in my library. Anyway, so to wrap it all up, bring it back full circle, that's how I got to the cycles of 9. Like, just from reading all these books, accumulating the knowledge I already have, being observant at the energy at play, and I deepen my knowledge of what energy is, and like understanding the themes of the different numbers and how they play out over a period of time of observing them. I got confident within what I was knowing and what I was thinking, and that's how I created that structure. And also, like, it was a lot of chaos in my life. Like, going back to when I was talking about the childhood trauma, it was a lot of chaos in my life. I needed some type of structure. I needed to do something. I needed something I can grasp onto that's not tangible, I guess, because tangible items can leave you at any moment. things of this material world can flee at any moment. And like that was happening to me since like I was moving constantly. I was like I said, my parents were caught up in their own affairs, like personal affairs, like I was in and out of a lot of relationships, so they were ending and starting and ending. Like friendships were coming and going. Like there was nothing to anchor me, and like I always had this spiritual thing, but like I guess I deepened my connection to it because I needed to anchor onto something. Like I was going crazy. It was not fun, and so like I just needed something to give me like hope and to give me momentum to keep going. And plus, like what I'm doing and like this structure I created and like these books I'm reading and this philosophy that I'm thinking of, like these downloads I'm receiving, this feels like a life calling. It's not something like, oh, it's a hobby, like skating, photography, all that shit, hobby. I find enjoyment. This feels like a life duty. Like it's my purpose to come out here, anoint others, give others a different perception, introduce a new way of thinking, and like just install hope into other people who was like me, and say no, there, and like to those who are like me, who have similar backgrounds as me, there is hope, and there is, you're not alone. There is hope, and like you can create the reality for you. You can create a life for yourself that you want. One of my biggest things throughout all of them dark times is something that kept me going is I'm going to create the reality I want for myself. And I have been. It's a slow process, but I have been. I'm not going with the weights of this world. This shit is fucked up. So I have to think of a way to like create a reality for myself that makes sense, that's enjoyable, and that's not fucked up. Because this is, I wasn't put here to do this. I wasn't put here to be a slave. I wasn't. I have free will. I'm going to exercise that free will. And it's my birthright to enjoy this life that I'm living, to be quite honest. Yes, life has ups and downs, but I shouldn't be depressed. I shouldn't be like wanting to kill myself. I shouldn't be that unhappy and unsatisfied with my life. So I made it my life mission to create the reality I want for myself. And this cycles of 9 is just a part of that. This is the fragmentation of my whole life. I'm only 23, so I still got ways to go. But yeah. I was talking really fast, so like we hit 57 minutes. That's crazy. But yeah, that's how I got to the structure. And like, oh look, a white butterfly. I love signs of butterflies. Thank you, baby. That's how I got to this structure. It's just from accumulating all my knowledge I've learned, accumulating all my experiences, and just streamlining a structure. And for me, it was math. That makes sense to what I'm experiencing and what I'm feeling. I can feel everything, and I think a lot. So I needed something to make sense. I needed a blueprint for like what's going on. And coincidentally, it lines up with nature. So yeah, if you watched the whole video, thank you so much. I'm extremely grateful for you tuning in, checking out what I have to say. It was fun recording this, and like just really, this is like my first time I think I've expressed all my like events leading up to where I am today. So yeah, I guess I'll end it off here. Thank you, and have a good day.